Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're talking about the second week of the auctions, or not really the second week because these auctions are a little different than normal. So before we get into what tanks to buy and the prices, let's just talk about the actual auction here real quick. So normally obviously the auction is in December and we get I believe 3 weeks long, and each week you get a different set of tanks. Now this auction is a little different. This one, I'm going to go a week, is 2 days long. So this one is not going to be anywhere near as long. I was not aware of that. So you only actually get one price drop. So that changes things a lot. Instead of things getting real cheap, you're like, really good prices. This actually isn't as good of an auction as it is normally because you're not going to get as cheap of prices. So that is something to keep in mind, is these prices aren't going to drop any more than the next price drop. That's it. And then, they're done, and that's as low as they're going to get. So that's some interesting information to talk about when we're talking about the auction tanks here. So I guess we can get right into it with the first one, the IS-2SH. This is a pretty bad tank, so I wouldn't really recommend getting this tank at all for 5,500 or 5,000 gold. It's really just not a good tank. I would not get that tank at all. Next up, WZ-112-2. This tank is okay. It's a decent-ish tank. It's not anything that really is too special at all. For 7,000 gold, that's a little expensive. 6,500 for the auction for a tank like that on the second day, that's still pretty expensive. So I don't know about this one. This one's pretty expensive. Definitely not the best deal here, but it's still one that is, it's not as bad as sometimes they can be, but that's definitely not the best auction deal. Next up, FCM 50T. So this one is a tier 8 medium tank, French, 4,500 gold, and then 4,000 gold. This tank is okay. I honestly don't play it very much. This tank is huge for a medium tank, by the way, and there's really no armor on it. It's a okay tank. So, well, first of all, I've noticed from the last, I'm going to keep calling them weeks just because that's what they normally are. From last week's auction, there seemed to be a lot of better tanks in there than there were in this week's auction, which is a little interesting. This one has some tanks in here that kind of stink, so compared to last week's, it's definitely not quite as good. We'll see what next week's is like, see if they get some better tanks in here. But yeah, FCM50T, it's an okay tank. It's nothing really fun. It's not that fun of a tank. It's not anything too special. But for that 4,000 price after the next price drop, that really isn't too bad. So if you want the FCM50T, that is not a bad price. Next up, the STG for 6,500 gold. I mean, the STG is I don't remember. This tank came out, it was really horrible. And I think they've buffed it since then. So it's not as bad, I think, but for 6,500 or 6,000, that's pretty expensive for a tank like this. Tier 8 medium tank, that's a little expensive. When you compare that to something like the Lorraine 40T over here, which is a much better tank for, 1,500 gold cheaper, yeah, I wouldn't go for the STG. That's a little expensive, in my opinion, for the auction. Next up is the Lorraine 40T, though. 5,000 gold or 47,500 after the next price drop is not bad at all. I mean, the Lorraine 40T is a pretty fun tank. It's got a clip in it. It's basically the FCM, but better because it's got a clip. It's faster than that tank. It doesn't have better armor. They both have horrible armor. This one actually, I guess, has a little bit of worse armor. But it's faster, has a better gun. Yeah, it's just a better tank. And definitely better than the STG. So 5,000 gold for that, 4750. Not bad, not bad. Next up, here we get some actual good tanks. The K91. The K91 is an amazing tank. This is one of my favorite tier 9 premium tanks for 10,000 gold or 9,000. That is not bad at all. This is a pretty awesome tank. I would actually highly recommend this. This is a pretty solid deal. 10,000 gold or 9,000 gold for K91 is pretty dang solid. That's, a very fun tank. It's a very good tank as well. And then next up, the final one, the Super Conqueror for 1,750 or down to 1,600. That is very good. I got this tank for 20k gold, and I thought that was worth it. So for this tank for even cheaper is definitely worth it, especially that 1,600 for a good tier 10. The Super Conqueror, in my opinion, is a very good tier 10. It's actually one of my favorite tier 10 premium tanks. It's a great tank. So 1,600 for that. amazing deal. This is probably the one I would recommend. These two right here are honestly the only really two like great buys out of it. There's a couple back there that were okay, like I said, but these two by far the best buys. So if you are planning on getting any tanks, these two are definitely the best. And yeah, so that is the week 2 of the auctions. Very interesting. We have some tanks in here, some good ones, some not so good ones. And yeah, let me know what you get, and I will see you guys in the next one.